Hello there, and welcome back to the channel for another scripted video. I know, it's been a while, but I'm back and I'm ready to read some words I typed out about a video game for the entertainment of internet strangers. Now, as you may or may not know, I did a video on the Doom reboot that came out in 2016, a game that I rather loved. It was fast-paced, filled to the brim with intense action, and had a killer soundtrack. However, the demon-slaying experience wasn't always in 60 FPS high-definition glory, as I'm sure many of you already know. A little old game simply titled Doom was released, and absolutely everything changed. Doom is considered by many to be the father of all in the FPS genre, revolutionizing the way these games were made, and setting the bar for years to come. A truly impressive feat if you think about it.
Impressive.
Back in the day, it was the thing everyone was playing, and while I'm somewhat sad that we went from this to this, I suppose things always change, and Doom wasn't going to stay relevant forever. Still, I wanted to take a look back at this game for a couple reasons, the first being that this was my first time playing the game, and secondly, I always find it fascinating to see where games come from, how franchises were built, and where they are now. I will also do my best to be fair with my criticisms and at least attempt to put myself in the place of somebody who played this game on release, because I believe it to be very important when reviewing older games to look at them not only from a modern perspective, but to do one's best to take into account what it would have been like to play it back then, so that you can weigh both sides and viewpoints. Of course, if you are one of those people who did get to play it back then, well, let me know how unfair or fair I'm being in the comments, and feel free to direct your anger towards me if necessary. So, without further ado, let's take a dive into the demon blood and lava flows of hell to find out where Doom's story first began. Development on Doom first started in late 1992, and it was released on December 10th, 1993 for MS-DOS, being developed by id Software and published by GT Interactive. Doom has received numerous ports for a crapload of systems over the years, so its influence ended up reaching far past home computer systems, to the point where it ended up on pretty much everything, from the Sega Saturn to the PlayStation 3 and beyond.
To infinity and beyond!
That influence affected not only the first-person shooter genre, but the realm of 3D technology as a whole, where Doom's levels were all in 3D. Well, at least that's how it appeared. In reality, they were 2D, with height differences added separately, improving on the level design established in Wolfenstein 3D, with moving platforms and staircases, varying light levels, and a sound system that made it easier to tell where things were located, not only on the level in general, but in relation to the player. Now, the version I played is, of course, not the original one that came out back in the times of Achilles and Alexander the Great, when the Greeks fought the Persians in epic battles that changed the course of history. Okay, yeah, I think this joke has run its course now. When the game came out in 1993, I didn't exist. In fact, I probably wasn't even a thought. I really only got interested in the franchise quite recently, in fact, when I jumped into Doom 2016 for the first time, and I haven't been able to find a copy of the first game on any other system. So, the footage I'll be showing in this video is from the Doom 1 enhanced version that I got on GOG.com, where the game has essentially been optimized for modern systems with improved visuals, 60 FPS support, quick save, etc. From what I understand, though, it still remains largely the same experience, and while I hope that one day I'll get to hop on an MS-DOS equipped machine and play it as it was, this will do just fine for now. Doom's official release caused quite the stir too, because of course it did, with the reality being that no matter what, video games and the people who play them will always be attacked by people who don't understand them. Naturally, Doom received plenty of criticism for its rather heavy focus on violence, demons, cults, and other imagery associated with the land down under. No, not that one. There you go, that's the one. Although with the amount of demon-like insects, arachnids, and whatever else, I'm sure one might confuse the two. Upon Doom's release, the Christians came after it.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Because, as we all know, thy game, which is criticized heavily and unwaveringly by religious organizations and its members, is a game that will surely kick the most ass that you could possibly imagine. Doom Guy, Chapter 19, Verse 93. Funnily enough, the ultimate version of Doom on GOG comes with a Doom Bible, so yeah, you know, this actually kind of makes sense. Of course, this didn't stop people from enjoying it, it never does, and Doom became quite a diabolical distraction, even to the point where it was banned from from several workplaces for consuming the time of the employees who would play it during work hours. There is plenty more to go into regarding Doom's history, but I'll save all of that for another video, and instead switch gears to move into the meat of this experience, the gameplay. Now, if y'all are game, let's talk about the game. Doom has had various levels added over time, both officially and as fan-made add-ons, but the standard 3 episodes are Knee Deep in the Dead, The Shores of Hell, and Inferno. A bonus episode called Thy Flesh Consumed, which sounds like a Comic-Con for cannibals, was released as part of Ultimate Doom in 1995, and I did play through this one. Another limited edition episode called Sigil was released, and this one wasn't included in Doom 1 Enhanced. I think you can download it separately, but regardless, I did not end up playing this one. There are 5 difficulty levels, all with the same naming flair that the episodes and levels have. I ended up playing through on Hurt Me Plenty, which is what I would recommend for first-timers, as it's pretty balanced in terms of challenge. The first episode, Knee Deep in the Dead, badass name by the way, is the first step of Doom Guy's journey, and as such is both the simplest in terms of level design and the easiest in terms of challenge. The story goes, the demons have invaded because what else are they gonna do? The unfortunate place that gets to be overrun with Hellspawn is Phobos, a UAC base located on a moon of Mars. You'll be traversing overrun facilities, factories, and refineries with the goal of complete and utter annihilation. Sounds good to me. The episode consists of 9 levels, and just might be my favorite of the bunch. Next up is The Shores of Hell, also a 9-level episode, which takes place in a base on a different moon of Mars called Deimos. Demos? I'm pretty sure it's one of those. In this place, hell has started seeping through the cracks like water through a leaky roof, but instead of your ceiling collapsing, here the fate of humanity is what would collapse should Doom Guy fail, so ya best be ready, champ. And of course, he doesn't really have any concept of failure, so you proceed as normal, blasting everything in sight, because that's how Doom works. The levels are similar, just this time around, Satan has taken a dump on everything. The look of this place gets altered from metal and technology to stone and symbols of dubious origin, as Hell's influence is starting to take hold. One thing I didn't notice in my first playthrough was the Tower of Babel getting built on the map screen as you progress through the episode. A very nice touch. Turns out the base got teleported and is now floating above the underworld, so that's a problem. But never fear, Doom Guy is here. Being the fearless marine that we all know him to be, he rappels down to Lucifer's domain itself in the main game's final episode, Inferno. An apt name indeed, because despite an absence of Dante, well, it's hell, and everything that can be on fire or soaked in blood most surely is. And things are all kinda weird and squishy looking. Blech.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that?
In the final episode, you fight the Spider Demon, and of course Doom Guy slays the nasty beast, which means hooray, we won! Everything is back to normal, not a worry in the oh shit, Earth is being invaded. Seriously, that again? Well, if it isn't aliens or robots this time, I guess it's gotta be those dang demons, so we head to our own planet to perform the sacred art of whoopassery, and this is where Doom 2 starts. I really do like Doom's main campaign, if you want to call it that, I don't know. For 1993, there is good enemy variety and solid level design, with only a couple levels that I didn't like in Chapter 3, mostly due to convoluted pathways and maze-like hallways that made my head hurt. Also, I gotta mention the main thing that has aged Doom more than anything else, and that's the aiming, which is confined to a horizontal axis only, so no looking up and down here. Considering how many enemies end up being above you, it means you just kinda have to move your gun in their general direction, wait till the cursor goes red, and then fire and hope you hit something. It's clunky, to say the least, and limits the game quite a bit. Still, despite the constrictive aiming and some messy levels later on, Doom is still a blast. Much like Doom 2016 gameplay, the secret to success here is simplicity. Doom is a game about shooting dastardly, demonic dickheads, and that's all it needs to be. It's straightforward as heck, with pretty much no nuance, but hey, that's what I like about it. What I also like about it is the little details that I was kinda surprised made it into a game this old. When you pick up a health item at low health, the message in the top left will read, "Picked up a medkit that you really needed." Really? Instead of just the normal picked up a medkit when you pick up one while at higher health. When Doom Guy picks up a new weapon that he doesn't have yet, his little head will have a cheeky smirk for a second, much like my own face when I get new weapons in pretty much any game, to be honest. His face will also degrade in handsomeness the more you get injured, starting off with a simple nosebleed just like a kid in 7th grade, but getting worse until near death where his whole face is bloody and his eyes are bloodshot, just like a kid in 12th grade who just lost a fight and is high on weed. Of course, the levels levels have plenty of details too, like hanging corpses and demonic eyes, just in case you wanted those. It adds that little bit of personality that, in my humble opinion, was a contributing factor in why people ended up liking Doomguy so much. Our protagonist gets a nice selection of weapons to make sure he doesn't meet this grisly end too. All of this stuff made its return for Doom 2016, which is great, and I would say my favorite ways of dishing out dooming justice in the OG game would be the shotgun, chain gun, plasma rifle, and of course the BFG. Not to mention the fact that it took my muscle memory way too long to stop tapping the R key to reload after firing, something that was also a problem for me in Doom 2016. Level progression is boiled down to grabbing red, blue, and yellow keycards or skulls to unlock doors, something the 2016 game replicated pretty faithfully. As well as, just like every other game in the 90s pretty much, you also have power-ups. These will do things like, partial invisibility, see in the dark, all that kind of stuff. All in all, the gameplay of Doom kept me hooked right till the end. Even if it does get a bit repetitive, and limitations to aiming and inability to jump hold it back somewhat, it's not anything I really hold against the game, at least not in any real way, because like I said earlier, it's vital to look at older games like this not only through a modern lens of where you are now, and where gaming is now, but to put yourself in the shoes of someone playing this game when it came out in the 90s, and to realize what game development was like then, and in that regard, Doom's gameplay levels and lore was truly something special. Of course, what would Doom be without some heavy metal beats to complement your demon-slaying escapades? Well, it would be just like Superman without the suit, which is just Clark Kent, and nobody cares. Even though I think Clark's look is better than Superman, because the super look is just spandex and a pound of hair gel, but yeah. Anyway, it's Doom's music, so it's awesome. While I still think 2016 has the better soundtrack, man, it's a hell of a lot closer than I thought it would be. The music in Doom 1 is nothing short of perfect, honestly, fitting the intense and foreboding vibe of every level wonderfully. You're accompanied by some truly sick beats, guitar, and otherwise, and it turns out the composer Bobby Prince made a lot of these songs to closely mirror other metal songs made by bands like Metallica, Slayer, AC/DC, and Megadeth, so it's no wonder it turned out how it did. I may not be a metalhead, but the soundtrack sure did get me ready to bop my head while popping some heads. The sound design in general is very good. I mean, okay, some of the sounds that demons make crack me up. But at the same time, it's neat that they have different groans, gurgles, and roars, and different noises for wandering around, taking damage, and dying. Nothing groundbreaking, but some good additions nonetheless for a game like this. It's generally rather easy to tell where an enemy is in relation to you as well, something I was most certainly not expecting, so that's great. The music as a whole really helps to set Doom's levels apart, and without it, I think some of the levels would start to blend together a bit. In general, I'm a pretty big fan of environmental storytelling, and it was something I praised in Doom 2016. Of course, in the 90s, environmental storytelling and text is really all they had. No big-budget set pieces or cutscenes, no audio logs, and even dialogue wasn't much of a thing yet. Such is the case with the original Doom, and despite the rudimentary graphics, each level has a certain vibe, and I like how your environment gets progressively more insane as you make your way through the game, from the starting area of the UAC base to the fiery pits of hell. It's a progression that the 2016 game did as well, as in that game you start off in the main base, and eventually end up in hell. The music ties it all together, and much like many other games that also have fantastic soundtracks like Halo, Skyrim, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption 2, just to name a few, the experience just wouldn't be the same without it. I like the original Doom's vibe, tone, and atmosphere a lot, and it makes me very glad that we got to see what Doom could be with modern graphics and sound design, but they still did a superb job with what they had. I must say, it was quite fun to look back at where Doom started. I don't know if I would call it a humble beginning exactly, but it's truly inspiring to see how far the franchise has come, and how far the gaming world has come in the over 30 years since Doom hit store shelves. Even if time and technology has left these games behind, I believe it to be truly important to remember games like Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, and Half-Life, because they are essentially the founding fathers of a great many things in gaming that most of us take for granted in games these days. As gamers, we do have a history and a culture, and with how fast time seems to be going these days, it's easy for things to get lost in the noise. Gaming has soared to new heights and evolved into a very profitable worldwide industry. There are just so many games out there, but do any of them exist without a game like Doom? Maybe, maybe not. Regardless, Doom will forever have a place in the gaming world, and the things it achieved allowed other games to have immense success, particularly in the first-person shooter genre. In Quake, Half-Life, CSGO, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Rainbow Six, all of these games are branches of a tree that grew from the roots where Doom lies. Buried but not forgotten, essential to support everything that came after. So, thank you to Doom's original developers and to the game as a whole. It was a pleasure to play, and its legacy is everlasting. Thank you all very much for watching. I don't know if I meant that conclusion to get as serious as it did, but here we are. If you did like this video's look at the original Doom, consider giving it a like and subscribing. I'll be doing more Doom content soon, and the support is always appreciated. Much love, take care, and until next time.